Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and today we're going to be talking about Avengers Age of Ultron, one of the most anticipated movies of the year, and boy does it deliver. It's an awesome movie. Now before I get started, Sam and I, we both saw the movie, so I'm going to do my initial review right now, and then me and him are going to do a spoiler-filled review of the movie. We just discussed the movie, spoilers and all. We haven't done this in a while. I think our last spoiler talk was Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. I'll have that up sometime soon. Either way, on with the review. The movie takes like every element of the first Avengers and just amps it up to 10. That's how insane the movie is. Now that does add to some of the flaws of the film. This movie is not perfect. I wouldn't say I loved it. I wouldn't say I loved it as much as the first one. I feel the first one's a more solid movie. This one has some issues. And I wouldn't call it my favorite Phase 2 movie. That's still Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I love that movie. That's still one of my favorite Marvel movies and the best Phase 2 movie. This one is still really good. The plot of the movie, a really quick gist of the plot, is basically Tony Stark finds a way to create artificial intelligence. And he creates Ultron, who he plans to use for good and to, help protect the world. The only problem is Ultron's idea of saving the world means killing everybody on it. And the Avengers have to stop him. That's the basic gist of the plot. This movie is really complicated. A lot happens in this movie. So, I really enjoy this movie. So I want to get my issues with it out of the way first so I can talk about all the positive stuff. So the main problem with this movie is there's just way too much going on. There's so many plot points that they're trying to hit, and a lot of stuff that's just building up to future sequels, and that's when it's at its worst. That's when it's just like, yeah, we get it, Infinity War, I understand. Basically, Thor's role in the movie, from like the middle of the movie onwards, except when he's helping fight Ultron and all that stuff, is basically just to give exposition for Thor 3 and Infinity War. And that can get really annoying, but the movie's always moving. Which is not always a bad thing, it's just there's so much plot going on that the movie really needed to be longer. It needed to be padded out. And I've heard rumors that there's going to be an extended cut on DVD, and I really hope there is, because that would really help out this movie a lot. And I know people don't like movies that are too long, but I feel a longer cut of this movie would work, because this is a movie that's constantly moving. They never really slow down, so you're never going to really feel the length. So I really hope they do that. I didn't care for... I like the opening scene as a scene. It's a really fun action scene. And my problem with it was they're going after the guy who, at the end credit scene in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the guy who has Loki's staff, and that's when you see Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch for the first time. The opening scene is them going after him to get Loki's staff. And I felt like we missed a whole movie in the middle there. Like, when did they find out that he had Loki's staff? Who is this guy? He seemed like he was important at the end of Captain America, but he's in like 2 scenes of this whole movie. And I really felt like we were missing something in that opening. And so that really annoyed me. Oh, and Ultron. Now, for the most part, I liked Ultron, but he wasn't as awesome or as menacing as I was expecting him to be. And I think that's because of the trailers just played him off as like the be-all, end-all villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, his name is in the title. It's Age of Ultron. So you expect him to be this really menacing, scary villain. He's not. He has moments. He has a lot of comedic moments, a lot of funny moments that I feel is a little too much. They were good, but I could have toned that down a bit. In the end, he doesn't do a whole lot. He's a good villain, don't get me wrong. I like Ultron. I think he was good. But he just wasn't as great as I felt he could have been. I loved James Spader as the voice of Ultron. He was perfect. I love the look of him. I just felt, I don't know, he didn't stand out as much to me as he should have. But he's still an interesting villain. So those are my main flaws. Might think of more later on. Now, the positive things about this movie. Like I said, this movie amps up everything from the first one. So there's more Hulk action. The action scenes are crazy. They're ridiculous, but they're so entertaining, especially if you're just a fan of this stuff and you just love seeing these characters on the big screen doing what they do. It's so awesome. And I think that's why I'm going to give this a really high score in the end, just because I had a smile on my face the whole movie. It's such an entertaining movie. Hulk versus Hulkbuster fight scene, so awesome. I was worried that the trailers gave away too much of it. But no, they barely scratched the surface of what's in that scene. And that scene is insane. I loved it. That was great. Hulk gets a lot more to do in this movie, and I'm always up for more Hulk stuff because Hulk is my favorite Marvel character. So it's always interesting to see him do more as a Hulk character. And there's more of that in this movie, and I like that. I always like it when there's just more Hulk. Though there is kind of a love story kind of going on between Hulk and Black Widow that I was okay with it during the movie. It just felt that it came out of nowhere. And that's where it kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, so now they're a thing. Okay. But after that initial, like, whoa, that's what they're doing, I got into it. I didn't mind it too much. One of the best parts about the movie is, I'm surprised I'm going to say this, is Hawkeye. They actually made him a character. And he actually serves a plot. He actually is really important to the plot at one point in the movie. And they add stuff to his character that make you actually care about him and make him actually interesting, and I love that. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. That, and he has he has my favorite line in the whole movie. He has some great funny lines, and he's just, Hawkeye was awesome. I never thought I'd say that, but Hawkeye was really awesome. I like that. The addition of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were really good additions. I really like them. I'm not going to compare this Quicksilver to the one in X-Men Days of Future Past because they're really different characters, so they're not worth comparing. And Quicksilver has a lot of cool moments. They don't give him his like one big scene like they did in X-Men, but he has a lot of great moments. He's a good character, and I really like Scarlet Witch. I thought they were really good additions to the cast, and I enjoyed them in the movie. One of the best parts about the movie is, it's not really a spoiler that he's in the movie, because everybody knows that. They never showed him in the advertisements, which I loved. Vision was awesome. He was just so cool. I like that they built upon a lot of characters in this movie. You find out stuff about Black Widow's backstory and all that stuff, and that was really interesting. That made Black Widow a more interesting character than she was previously. I mean, she was a cool character in the previous movies, but I never really cared about her. She's, but then we get to see some of her backstory, and I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. It's really interesting. So it's cool to see some of these characters develop. Some of them kind of don't. But aside from that, I like building upon these characters, seeing new characters. These action scenes in this movie are insane. They're giant. They're huge action scenes. And they're just a lot of fun. This movie is just a lot of fun. It doesn't break new grounds or anything. It's not mind-blowingly great. It doesn't really change the game. But it moves the story forward, and it progresses the whole universe forward pretty well. Granted, aside from being forced at times, it all does it really well in a very entertaining fashion. So, out of 10... if this makes any sense, just from a movie standpoint, I would give it an 8.5, but from a comic book fan standpoint, to me the novelty still hasn't worn off of seeing all these characters on screen together, so that's such a blast. I'm going to give it a 9. Solid 9 out of 10. Because I enjoyed the crap out of this movie. I thought it was a ton of fun. I loved seeing these characters doing new things. The movie is a bit darker than the first. It's not as dark as the trailers were. The trailers were like really dark and serious. It's not like that. It's basically the first Avengers with darker elements put in. And I like that. I like the little darker take on stuff. So yeah, aside from Ultron not being as great as he could have been, the movie feeling really rushed at times, the obvious building up to the sequels, which are just like, you didn't need to do all that. And one scene, they try to pull off the whole team is arguing with each other scene, like in the first movie, that ends with Hulk holding Loki's scepter. They try to do a scene like that, and it comes out as really just jumbled and messy, and just, I didn't like that scene at all. Aside from those issues, this movie was great. And those issues don't completely hold back the movie, because it has all these great characters that you love, amazing action scenes, expanding upon the universe, getting to see the characters do more stuff. It's a great progression. So like I said, it's not a game changer, but an awesome, entertaining film. If you like these movies, you gotta see this one, obviously. And it's just awesome. So, Sam and I will be back for our spoiler talk later on. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later.